Hi, it's Dave and Dave from Dave's Life Over 65. This is Dave from the Despicable Me movies, and a friend of mine's daughter, Katrina, gave me this um, when she was a little girl. I think it's when shortly after the movie came out, she said that this looked just like me, and I have to agree, it does, kind of. So, anyways, I've made him into Bushcraft Dave. Anyways, what I want to talk to you about today is two things. One, I haven't gone out and done any field work lately because I haven't been feeling well. I went and got my hair cut, and every time I do that, I catch a cold, especially this time of year. And then it snowed about, first it was 10 centimeters, and then right after that, we got 20 centimeters, so 30 centimeters in total. And they don't plow the road to the park, so use at your own risk. So I'm waiting for that situation to improve a little bit. Anyways, I was I was in the bathroom for something, and I looked down into the little garbage can we have there, and there was a bottle of an empty bottle, which usually contains gummy vitamins that my wife takes. That a little straighter if I can. Yeah, there we go. So I looked at that and I thought, that's a pretty big bottle. I mean, as vitamins go. And went over to the sister-in-law's for Christmas dinner, and she has an even bigger one. So when that's empty, I'm going to get that. Anyways, I've been looking at this bottle thinking, what? I know this could be useful for some kind of survival / bushcraft type of deal, and I was thinking what I would put in it. And I happen to be leafing through my little, I have a little book I keep my ideas in so I can go back and remember what they were and what, if it was something to do with the internet, what the web page was and so on. So when I watched Dave Canterbury's 10C segment in his YouTube page, I wrote them down. And just for a quick review, I'm sure you all know them, but just in case you don't, you have 10c's, which are the 10 C's of survival, and he uses words that start with the letter C, so you could, some words he sort of had to hunt around for to find something that starts with C. But anyways, the first one is a cutting tool, or a knife. This is the beginnings of a carry on your belt EDC sort of thing. I'm pretty much gonna put my EDC in the car, so because that's where I most likely am going to be coming from. I don't usually leave the house without the car. Anyways, this I can carry with me when I'm walking around the park or going down to the corner store, whatever. And it's just got a couple of things on it. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off and put it in my pocket. I got two of these credit card knives from China. They were like 99 cents or something like that, and free shipping. I couldn't believe it, so I ordered them, and it took about 6 weeks, but they got here. So I gave one to my good friend Steve, and I kept the other for myself. And it does fit really well in your wallet. It goes into one of the credit card slots, and you'd never know it was there. But in putting together this little guy, I decided I wanted to make it into a minimal 10c's carry thing. So, but getting back to this, this I'll usually carry. It's got a nice multi-tool. I need that. That's one of the most useful things on my belt, the multi-tool. This isn't the one that I necessarily will end up with, although it does have a pretty good selection. The only thing I don't like about it is the knife. So which one's the knife? This one. The knife is pretty small. It's not very big at all. Okay, 1.5 inches, or since I am Canadian, 35 centimeters. So it's not very big at all, but it is sharp. It wasn't sharp when I got it, but boy, it's sharp now. For something like that, I don't mind sharpening it with a file, because they're too small to use those things you pull through, because they're just too small. But it has very handy pliers, which are kind of needle nose, and then there's a cutter inside that. There's a bottle opener, which I've sharpened to pretty sharp. The can opener slash bottle opener, but I've also sharpened it up because you can use that to cut spoons and stuff. A little saw, and an auger, and a flathead screwdriver, and a Phillips screwdriver. And I don't know where I got this, but I know I didn't spend much money on it. Anyways, that I carry a watch, some paracord, and like I say, I'm going to probably take this off and use it for in some other pack. But anyways, that's what I have been carrying. But I wanted something I could throw in the car and cover off all the 10c's of the Canterbury survival system. And here it is. So this was a, what did I say it was? 650 milliliter, it doesn't look it, but it is, pill bottle. And basically I got out the 10c's, and I took the credit card knife that I got in the mail, and I put it in there because it'll fold up. It folds up flat like a credit card, but then if you want to deploy it, it kind of folds in on itself to make a handle. But you still have to pull the knife out. If you leave the knife folded inwards, then it's only about this long and about that wide, and it fits in here really nice. I also covered off the combustion tool. I'm not going to open this because you've seen enough of those videos. But there's a cutting tool, which is this little. It's almost like a razor knife, very sharp. I don't think you'd want a baton with it, but you could do some chores with it. I have a small lighter in there, and butane lighter, and I have this for cover. I have a space blanket in here. I use the bottle itself as a container. 650 mils isn't bad. Is it 650? I don't know. I picked this up for $2 in a dollar store. No, it couldn't be $6.50. That's $600. Let me see. All right, I might as well tell you about this. Okay, so there's a cover in there, a space blanket. I forget the size right now, but it's fairly big. You can cover your body with it. It's got the Mylar inside, so you can turn it around. And what I like about it is it's green on the outside. Okay. I suppose you could make a pretty small pup tent out of that, but more than likely it would be more like just something you throw around yourself. Being made out of plastic, it could double as a raincoat, and the Mylar would help reflect your body heat back, so that's pretty good. This is the container. I have cordage. I've just added some things onto it that aren't on the 10C list, just because I can. Okay, there's the cordage. I have 26 feet actually of paracord, and I was thinking about how can I hang this on my pack if I wanted to take it. And I have a bunch of hose clamps, and the biggest one wasn't big enough, but I combined two together and made a fairly large hose clamp, and I think hose clamps are worth their weight. I'm guessing this thing is about maybe half a pound, and I use this zip tie as a handle and slash thing to hang it on my pack, and it's always handy to have a zip tie when you're in an emergency situation. So I've got the cutting tool, the combustion tool, the cover, the container, cordage, candlelight. I've got one of these inside. Oh, I have it unscrewed so it doesn't accidentally deploy. There we go. So I have one of these inside, fits nicely. For cotton bandana is this. This is an old t-shirt. So it even folded up really good. It would just take up too much room. I suppose if I didn't have the kindling in the bottom of this is basically tissue paper. I have 3-ply tissue paper, and it makes excellent tinder. The only problem is it burns up really, really fast. What you do is you separate the plies. This particular one is 3-ply, which makes it very soft and very absorbent. And they're from the No Name brand, so they're not expensive. Okay, so what you do is you crumple them up, and you've got 3 really good fire starters. What I did, I had an old candle that burned down really quick and just dumped its wax all over the table that I had it on. So I just scraped up all the wax, threw it into a tin, and melted the wax. Took these, dumped them into the wax, soaked them up about halfway, and threw them in. So I've got 2 different kinds of tinder. I've got the lighter for I have the lighter for an ignition source. Normally on this, where did I put it? Normally on this I would have a fire starter, but I pulled it off because I have another emergency setup in my car in a Altoids box. I've seen you've probably seen those videos where they have the Altoids box, and it's not 10C Altoids box, but it's the one I used. I basically followed their format and made it up. So that's in the glove compartment of the car where it will stay. And anyways, I needed some kind of an ignition source, and I got some birthday candles and put them in there for candlelight. And so that's where my fire steel went. I'm going to go and get some more because I need something I don't actually have in here, which is on the 10c's, is the compass. And I got a small compass, military style, you know, the kind that opens up and you can sight on things with it. It's a nice little compass, but it wouldn't fit in here. The mouth is just too small. Nice thing about this container is it is wide mouth. It's got quite a wide mouth on it, so it would be easy to fill up with water. And once I take all the stuff out of here, I could just take the cap off and throw it on the floor, and I could just dump it into drink and scoop up the water with it. I mean, maybe it's 250 milliliters. Anyways, it's bigger than it looks. I was surprised how much water it held. 2.5 cups approximately, which is you look at that and you think, my God, I had no idea it was going to hold that much. What the heck did I do? Where did that go? It's probably way under the desk by now. Anyways, I'll find it later. The cotton bandana I made out of an old t-shirt. It's very comfortable and warm, which is nice. Underneath the cordage is, you can see the little, yeah, there it is. That's duct tape. So I got cargo tape. I did get some canvas needles. One's in the Altoids kit and one's in my regular pack kit. And what I did, because having a sharp, pointy object Well, there's that light I've been looking for. It's hiding under my keyboard. Problem with needles is they're kind of pointy, and you don't want to be throwing those into your pack if you're rooting through it in an emergency situation. So what I do to make them safe is I have some, for my other hobby, which is amateur radio, I have these things, which are shrink tubing, and I just stick it halfway over the needle and hit it with a flame, wrap it over, hit it with a flame again, and then you got a nice little sheath for your canvas needle, because it's pretty big and pretty long, and it would hurt like hell if you didn't know it was there and stuck your finger with it. But I don't have any more for this, so I'm going to order some and get them in. And I added to that, I added some chapstick. You can just see the top of it there, the green thing, and some baggies, because baggies are always handy. I've already mentioned the tissue cloth, like these. I got about 10 of them in there. There's enough for quite a few fires. I was going to put some of this in it, but it just takes up too much room. Probably will be in my pocket anyways, because I have one in my pocket right now. So if I was in a pinch, I would basically take one of these, squirt some hand sanitizer on it. You got a nice fire starter. And I want to go out and test all this out. I want to take this out by itself. And I have a knife coming from China. I ordered it at the same time as the canvas knife, and I got my ski pants, so now I'm ready to go out and do something in the winter time. But the little knife, I'm a fan of the Slingshot channel. George Sprave has a Slingshot channel, and I like the character. I like George. He's a real interesting dude. And sorry, George, if you don't like dude, but anyways, he makes his own slingshots, but he also takes users' comments, and he gets little challenges. Like, let's see you make a slingshot out of some duct tape and an old tree branch, and he'll do it. And anyways, I have some stuff that I do in that area too. I bought one of his slingshots because I figured they might be useful in a survival situation, and because you can they pack a punch, really, especially if you use the heavy duty 9mm. These are actually 9.5mm. I know, because one of these came back, I missed my target and it hit, and I was standing directly behind it, like straight on like that. Straight on like that. Never shoot at a target that's fairly close straight on, because if it comes straight back, you're going to get it. And if you're shooting slingshots, always wear safety glasses, because all kinds of nasty things can happen. Bands can break and come back and snap you in the eye. The slingshot itself can come apart, and part of it will come back and pretty fast. Anyways, I digress, whatever. The other enhancement I put were some baggies, because they're always useful. Chapstick. If you look here, you can just see the, I don't know if you can or not. Right here is the space bag. It will wrap around, so it really doesn't take up that much room. Anyways, I want to go out in the winter when there's lots of snow on the ground and make a fire. That's it. I'm just going to go to my camp spot that you've seen in my other videos, and make a fire. And I want to do it with only this. So I'll probably replace the Bic lighter that's in here with a fire steel, because they're only about $10. And now that I know how to use them, they're quite effective. But this time of year, it's difficult to find something that isn't covered with snow and or ice, and that means it's going to be pretty moist. And when you're trying to, and it's always windy. So if you're trying to start a little campfire, either for an emergency or because you want to make some tea or something, it's going to be difficult with the moist weather that we get here and the cold and the wind. So if you have a little help from something like hand sanitizer or candle wax, or you can take some of the professionally available stuff, fatwood, for example. I still have some of that in my pack. Anyways, this thing's pretty much got everything it needs. All I need to do is get some canvas. I figure I have enough room left for some smaller items. Maybe for sure a button. I'm thinking maybe you can buy these little things from eBay, which are basically like the snaps on my paracord bracelet here. But in them are two things, a fire steel and a little button compass. I tested this out, and it would be very difficult to get the bracelet in the bottle and back out again if you did, especially with all this paper. I can pull this paper out and make room for a lot of other stuff, but I figured you can never have too much tinder, right? So okay, on to the Altoids tin. I've seen the video where people take Altoids tin and make them into an emergency kit. I don't know how much use there'd be, but it never hurts to have them. Probably not for end of the world scenarios so much as you're out in your car and you cut your finger. And it's nice to have some band-aids. So I have a couple of large band-aids, like square ones, and the ordinary size band-aids. I have one of these. These are great, by the way. Watch this. Look at that turn red. Isn't that neat? These are $1 at the dollar store, and they're refillable. I never buy anything now like I don't smoke. I haven't smoked since 98, and so I never carried a lighter, and a couple of times I really needed one, for different things. Even if you're just melting the end of some cordage, because this is a nylon or something, and when you cut it, it starts to instantly fray, so you can just stick it in there and you're done. The other thing that I could throw in there, and maybe I will because I got some room here, is one of these. I've tried to make as much of this stuff multi-use as possible, and these are definitely multi-use. I've got a cover for it somewhere around here. There it is. This one I can also wear around my neck. It's not very comfortable, but there it is. And it's always handy to have one of these things because you can carry a lot of information on it. You can carry PDFs of your documentation, so people can see that you are who you say you are. Anyways, it's good to have one of those for recording stuff. I have a little adapter. Probably can't lay my fingers on it right now, but here's one. These are worth their weight, by the way. This is a 3-port OTA, I think they call it. Basically, this plugs into your Samsung phone. Oh, I've got one here I can show you. Oops. Now you've got 3 USB ports. You can take one of these, plug it in, and it becomes one of your drives. So you can store stuff from your phone onto your stick memory. It's also good to have one of these, which you can plug into your top of your phone, and it gives you a microphone and earphone output, which then you can use the cheapy computer headsets with. Anyways, I have a small one of these, which is a single port, so it's always good to have one of those. Anyways, I have some really small, really tiny SD cards, but this big, and they'd fit in here just fine. You could keep books on it, like survival manuals and stuff like that. And if you're out there and your phone works, by the way, talking about phones, I would recommend that if you don't already have one of these, this is an old one, but it's really light, but it's 10,000 milliamp hours. I can charge my phone on this a couple of times at least. Anyways, if you have one of these and you have a USB cable, there it is, I just found it. Something like this. You can plug this into your phone, or you can plug this into your phone, and then if you have a cable, you can charge your phone off the battery, or you just carry a regular USB cable. And they're all in use, so I can't show them to you right now. Oh, here's one. So this would go in the battery, and this would go into the phone. And this won't fit because it's designed for my camera. So I can charge my camera, I can charge my phone. This will charge up your phone about 2 or 3 times depending on how dead your phone is. It also has a light. Charges up with a USB cable. And I have an adapter, I just don't know where it is off the top. There's a nice safety pin. These things can be lifesavers in the, out in the wild. So what I'm going to do, oops. Bigger one would be nice. You've all seen that video where I've used steel wool to start a fire. Take some of your homemade tinder, rough it up with the back of your knife or whatever you have, and then make kind of like a bird's nest out of the steel wool. Zap it with a 9-volt battery and instant fire. One of these days I'd like to go out and try some bow drill work. I've never done that. Never thought I'd want to spend the time, but it wouldn't hurt to. I never thought I'd ever want to spend the time and work that it takes to make a fire that way. Using embers to make fires is an art. But it would be something that would be useful if you don't have anything else. So maybe I'll go and practice. Somebody's playing around on the transprovincial frequency. Anyways, that Morse code in the background is my amateur radio hobby. So we're going long here. I didn't mean to be so verbiage. Fire starter number 3 is this. This is pretty powerful. It comes in handy for an old fart like me because I can read stuff with it. Elementary, my dear Watson. Anyways, that's it. Be safe, enjoy your life, and hopefully pretty soon I'll get out and make another field day video. I want to use this as my, just what I have in here for a very, very primitive shelter. I don't know off the top of my head how big it is. There again, like I said, it probably isn't big enough to make a lean-to. Well, maybe a primitive lean-to, but more than likely it would be best used to It would be best used to just put around your shoulders to keep warm, and it works well. I tried it out in a few minutes. I was boiling, so I didn't think they worked, but they really do. Something else I could probably fit in here would be a couple of these. Always come in handy. I saw a headlight thing in the dollar store, which was quite small. It might even fit in here. But anyways, there's my... Now this is going to go in the car, and it'll be available. And then if I also want to take it with me when I go camping, I can just hang it on here. So I've got additions I've added to it, or the hose clamps and the zip ties, and 2 elastic bands, which can be used for various things. They have multiple uses. And of course my bandana, which this is actually really comfortable. These dollar store bandanas are good. They're good for keeping your head warm, I'll tell you that. I was wearing them yesterday. It was like minus 16. Last night it was minus 30. But these are good for keeping your head cool if you're in the summertime. And what I like about this one is it comes down and covers your ears. A lot of people don't think about that when they're out in the sun. Like I have actually gotten sunburns on the top of my ears, and it's very painful. I used to golf years ago, and I was out on by the time I got back to the clubhouse, my ears were burned on top, and that was painful. So I look like a Bedouin. Anyways, that's my little, the whole point of this video is I wanted to say that if you're always keeping your eyes open for something that might be of use in a survival situation, you'll come across stuff like this pill bottle in the garbage. And then you can start thinking about, what could I put in it? What could I make that would be handy in a emergency situation? And you never know. One of these things could be a real lifesaver. If not, certainly make things a lot more comfortable for you. So I want to collect a bunch of these. When my sister-in-law finally uses up her gummy vitamins, hers is a little bit bigger than this. It's about this round, and the bottle on top of that's about the size of an Nalgene opening, an Nalgene mouth. And I think I could put a lot of stuff in there. Maybe enough to even go camping. Wouldn't it be nice if you could go on a day camping with just something like this? Don't have to carry a pack or nothing. You're inconspicuous. You can walk into the bush and just carry something like this. I'm going to think a little bit about that.